What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy video on the channel. You can probably hear that I'm still a little bit under the weather, but thought we'd get this out. It's not Wednesday, it's Thursday trade talk, and just a quick sort of round 6 review. Obviously, the shorter week with the Anzac Day game being on Tuesday means this was a day later. I didn't want to do it on the Wednesday just because we only get sort of a day's worth of like people trading in out, so it may be incorrect about who the popular targets are, but it'd be good to see a couple of days post lockout, seeing who the popular trade ins and outs. But let's quickly run through how I went in round 6, 2032. So it could have been a lot bigger. We'll get to obviously one of the key reasons why I didn't quite crack the 2100, which if I did, that would have been a pretty big week considering a lot of coaches. To get over 2000 was a good week. So I'm still pretty happy. Ranked me at 11,723 for the week. 12,644 for the week, and I'm up to 11,723. So up about 2,133 spots from memory. So yeah, good to be moving in the right direction, but obviously one injury was the reason that I didn't quite crack inside the top 10k. Hopefully this is the week that we can break in there and keep moving forward, but this is the team. So in terms of the +3, so I've got to give it to Marcus Bonampelli. He was just absolutely phenomenal. 148 points. He was on 100 at three-quarter time, and I was thinking, please just go on with this and get a 120 plus, because a lot of the last quarters this year, Bont has tailed off and hasn't really put a big score together. This is finally the one, and now people look at him as a trade target, which I find it's quite funny how 1 week changes his whole season, because he was averaging around that 99 to 100 mark. Now all of a sudden he's averaging nearly 107, and people looking to get him in. So we'll talk about him a little bit as well when I go through the trade ins and outs. But yeah, just very good to have him as a high scorer as well. -3, probably got to go to Andrew McGrath. I haven't been able to get rid of him. I'm hoping that he was going to be more of a 90 guy, but he's just more of an 80s guy, and he's just up a couple of 60s. He's more the 80 guy, but it's a bit frustrating when I paid for him at the start of the year. I could have started with Dacos over him. I got Dacos obviously in the end, but then I could have got Dawson when I got Dacos. So sort of it's a bit frustrating because McGrath could be Dawson. So, but yeah, he's been frustrating. But yeah, let's get into all the other players quickly. Nick Dacos, fantastic performance, 140 points. Probably unlucky not to get my +3 because he was amazing. It's good to finally watch him last 2 weeks and in my team, and obviously being on my birthday as well. 140 points was pretty good to sit back and watch that as well. And also, thank you very much for the people that did wish me happy birthday as well. I really do appreciate those messages that people sent through, so thank you for that. Harry Sheasel, 47, got tagged by Holman, moved forward. I want to see another week before I look at trading him out myself. I know Aaron Hall's back in the team, and it's funny that now his score is poor when Aaron Hall's back, but I'd rather watch him for another week and see how that goes, and then we can assess it next week. But we got to remember, he's a rookie at the end of the day. He's been so good, but I think we did almost forget that he was a rookie because of how good he was going. But yeah, I think I'll reassess him next week. Tom Stewart, very happy with him, 100 points. Good to get his first ton for me in the 3 weeks that I've owned him, which is nice. So he's got a pretty nice run. He's got a lot of GMHBA stadium games to come for the rest of the year. So looking forward to owning Stewart for the rest of the year. And that round 13 buy is also very handy. Lockie Whitfield, 81. I think he's almost McGrath's brother, just being an 80s guy at the moment. So which is... I brought him in knowing that he would probably be that 90 to 95 guy, but he may even be just an 85 guy based on the 2 weeks I've had him. He's got 83 and 81, averaging 82. So hopefully he can put some 90 pluses and even some tons in the next few weeks for me. But I've just, got a feeling he's going to be a bit like McGrath, Hayden Young, these type of players that are just going to score your 80s and you're going to move them on. So I was happy to get a rookie to him and take the punt there, but I think I will be trading Whitfield back out at some point. As you mentioned, McGrath has been a bit frustrating. Hopefully you can put some good scores together and not drop down too much, because then at the buy time I can move him on. I'll probably keep him because his round 14 buy is quite good for my team because I don't have many round 14 players. So moving him at round 14 and bringing in a round 12 or round 13 player. So that's what I'll be looking at doing. Ruben Jinby, 62, just putting out another solid score again, but I think I'll be moving him on at some point. Potentially could be this week based on what my early trades are looking like. Darcy Wilmot as well, very quiet with a 22. Some people did have him on field, so he is a rookie that you can look at trading out as well. Lockie Cowan as well, 48 in the St Kilda matchup. Could even crack a 50 in that matchup. So, yeah, not too great from Lockie Cowan there. Tim Taranto, another guy that's unlucky not to get my +3. He's been an absolute jet. He's well and truly made up for our relationship from last year. Obviously, many people followed me, knew I paid up for him last year and yada, yada, yada. So I'm not going to go into that now, but yeah, very happy with Taranto. Hadn't scored below 100, averaging 117. He's just an absolute beast at the moment. Touk Miller, that was the reason why my score wasn't 2,100 or more, unfortunately, because the 48 points that he got, it was sort of, midway through the third quarter. Obviously, his knee locked up, and he's now going to be missing probably 4 to 6 weeks based on most torn meniscus injuries. That's what he's got, lateral meniscus tear or something. So hopefully he'll be back soon. It's obviously bad to see him go down, but he's one of the most durable players. First week I bring him when he gets injured, but that's the way that fantasy works. So unfortunate there. Rory Laird, 120. Very, very happy to have him in my VC. Saved my bacon as well, because I did actually have Touk Miller as my captain, but 120 points from Lairdy. I'll take that. That's back-to-back scores of 118 to 120. So very happy with his bounce back, and I expect him to be a 110 plus guy from here. I think he can still push 115, 120, as we saw on the weekend, had 12 tackles. Only had 29 disposals. When he starts getting those 30, 35 disposals a game and those 10 tackles, he's going to start pumping out more 120s and 130s. So I'm still pretty confident he'll be a top 4 midfielder. Bonham, he did actually go for a knee issue, but apparently it's all good, which is good to hear. So I would have been devastated if him and Touk were both injured. Bond, obviously we mentioned before, 148. Very, very happy with his score. Will Ashcroft, 66, just ticking along some solid scores, so you can still hold him for a few more weeks. He's got that round 12 bye, so that's probably when I'll look to offload him, but could be earlier depending on what my team needs. So he's just doing his thing. Cam McKenzie, 45. He probably needs to go as well. A few of these rookies are hitting a bit of all, and he's one of them that probably needs to go. Ollie Holland, 75. Very happy with him. He's got a lower break even. I'll hold him for another couple of weeks because he'll make a little bit more cash. Matthias Philippou, he'll move to the bench for me now anyway, but he's still got a break in, I think, is it 19, I believe? So I think he's still got, 32, sorry. I don't know. No, 19 was last week. So 32, he could still make a little bit more money, but it is getting to a point where he's going to stop making money, and we're going to have to look at trading him out. So he's on my bench. The good thing is, going him down to a rookie, I'll have a bit of cash there to put on top of another rookie. Tom Green, be very good to be putting him back in lineup this week. And then Matty Johnson as well. I was actually pretty impressed with his 41. He looked good at times in that Freo lineup, and I'd be surprised if he got dropped, because he has looked good. And yeah, they need to get games into like some of these high rookies. Like even Erasmus should be getting games. Hopefully, I think that there's a debutant that potentially could get a game. I think it's Josh Draper or something like that. So interesting that he could get a debut. So does that mean Johnson's out? I'm not sure. We'll have to see, but fingers crossed Johnson holds his spot. Sean Darcy, very, very good again with 112. Just continues to get the job done each week. And then Ryan Marshall as well got his 100. Considering that Carlton had the ball so much of the game as well, and he did actually start quite slowly, so I'm pretty happy that he got to his ton the end. It's 5 tons in a row. I think the only game he didn't get a ton was round 1. So, and I think he'll be big this week against Port Adelaide. Josh Dunkley really has been very disappointing. I was disappointed with Laird to start the year, but Dunkley has been a real disappointment. 86, he's only gone over 102 times this year. So he's still going to be near the top 6 forwards anyway, because he's still averaging 93 and he's been underwhelming. It's just the fact that we all paid up for him and he just hasn't delivered. But I wouldn't be trading him out, because I still think he's going to be a top 6 forward anyway. Maybe just not a top 2 or 3 like we thought he would be. Everyone thought he was going to be the clear number 1. Connor Rosie was amazing against West Coast, 133 points. He just did what he wanted. Just a really good stat line in general. Like he got his disposals, got his marks, got his tackles as well, and then kicked a couple of goals. Like, look at that, 29 disposals, 6 marks, 7 tackles, 2 goals. So he was great. And he gave away 2 free kicks, so that could have been even bigger, but he was fantastic. He could have got +3 as well. It's funny, there's so many big performers, but there were just a lot of subpar scores plus the Touk injury that really hurt me this week. Errol Goulden, people are worried about him. I'm not. He scored a 70 against Geelong when Matt Roberts went down. He played more on the wing, and he gave away 4 free kicks. They got smashed. For him to get to a 70 is actually not too bad. It's showing that his floor this year really is about 70 points. I think he got what did he get? A 71 against Melbourne when they got badly beaten in the second half as well. Yeah, so his floor seems to be 70, and he's got a ceiling. So I'm fine with him. He had a bad game, and he'll respond with a better game, hopefully this week against the Giants. Jack Zeeble, 99. Aaron Hall didn't really seem to affect him too much. Took most of the kick-ins, did Zeeble, so he'll just continue to tick along nicely. Cade Chandler, 59. Played really well. Obviously, a big third quarter with a couple of goals did help him get to that 59. He gave away, I think it was 3 or 4 free kicks as well. 3. 2 of them I know for a fact I don't think were free kicks against him. So, they were very stiff. So, I'm fine keeping him, especially for the next 3 weeks. He's got North Melbourne, Gold Coast and Hawthorn. So, I'm quite excited for those 3. He could actually put up some decent scores and continue his cash in. So for me, I'd prefer to trade other rookies in my team over Chandler. And then Pedler with the 67 as well, just got the job done. Only 64% game time, which is interesting. He was on 59 at half time, only 8 points in the second half. So he does do this. He can have quarters where he doesn't score much. So that's why his scores can fluctuate. But he is safe for a 50 plus most weeks. So I think the only game he went under that was against Carlton. Yeah, I think he's still solid to field at F6 for the time being. Still making good cash. His break-even is, 28? So he's still got a little bit more cash to make, so I'm fine with him. Alwyn Davey only got 30 points, so his cash gen's not going to be too much more, is it? So he only went up a few K, so he could be a guy that we move on at some point. Van Ruin saved his score, 41 points in the last quarter with 3 goals in that quarter. He probably kept his spot in based on the last quarter, which I'm very, very pleased with because that cash gen's going to keep going and because I thought for a second he might be dropped. But yeah. And then obviously Campbell Chesser is not playing there. So that's the team review. So let's get stuck into the most traded in and out players. And then I didn't do it last week, but I should be doing it. Well, I will be doing it today. My top 5 targets for the week. I didn't do it last week, but we'll get into that. So most traded in. So I normally talk about the players that are over 2K, but there's not too many. So I might go a couple of extras, but we've got Alex Chin-Cotter, 18,500 coaches are bringing him in. He's on no surprise, he's the most traded in player with a 76 against St Kilda. Could that score be inflated because it was the Saints? Maybe yes, but then also he played actually really, really well anyway. So I think he'll hold his spot. He's got West Coast this week at Optus. Could I put up another decent score? So he's a guy that I'm potentially considering bringing into my side this week. Obviously, Touk Miller's making that a little bit more difficult to justify getting a rookie, but I'll go through my trades at the end as well. Will Day, over 11K coach bringing him in. He's a great option, averaging 104 before he was suspended. No injuries or anything like that, so he'll come back in. He'll go back into his role that he was doing before, and he'll be a great option. He's still really cheap at 727K. I think he'll be a top 6 defender from what we've seen. We want these defenders playing midfield, and there's not many of them, and Will Day is one of them. So he's a great target to be looking at. Seamus Mitchell, 5.8k coach of bringing him in. He's been very, very good. He got 68 on the weekend. The only concern I have is he scored 42 of his 68 points in the last quarter. So, and with Josh Ward not playing this week, was managed. Jack Scrimshaw was also the sub. He'll come into the 22. I would imagine Josh Ward comes in. So what does that mean for Seamus Mitchell's job security moving forward? I think he'll stay in the team this week, but maybe next week he might not be in the team. So I'm personally probably not going to be looking at getting him in just because he is already at 280k. No, he's got a great break. Even if he plays one more week, he'll be over 300k anyway. It's just we want these rookies to be playing through our bye weeks. We don't want to be trading in all these red dots and they're all dropped within a few weeks because then when we get to the buys, you're only going to have 22 players maximum to choose from. You want most of your 30 dots to be able to use through your buys. So for me, I'm not looking at Seamus Mitchell there. But I don't mind him if you've already got a Chin-Cotter. He's not a bad option. Sam Walsh, 4K coach to bring him in. He looked fantastic last week, 131. He hasn't missed a beat, averaging 117 over 2 games. Again, I do think that the Carlton Mids numbers last week were inflated, but I think Sam Walsh is just too good a player to think that his score was inflated. I think he was very, very good. So, yeah, I would be looking at him as a potential Touk replacement. I like him as an option. Marcus Bonampelli, another Touk replacement, 2.9k coach of bringing him in. It's the Bont's 200th game this week, so it could go big. We've seen some players in the past go big in their milestones. With the Bont, as an owner through the whole year, for the first 5 weeks, people were looking at trading him out because he was underwhelming and not doing what people wanted. But he has 148, and then all of a sudden people are talking about him as an option, which there's two ways to look at it. On one hand, he has a floor of 90 and he's been solid and he's got a better run coming up because he did have a little bit of a tricky run to start the year. Got a better run. He's going to put up some good scores moving forward because of this easier run. So on that sense, he could still average around that 110 because he's going at 107. And then obviously the upside is that because of his tricky run, people are getting him in now. He could go boom and average 120 for the next 5 weeks because we've seen him do this in patches. So I do like him as an option. I just probably put that flag out to people jumping on him as an owner for the first 5 weeks. That he was a little bit frustrating at times owning him, but the Bont's the Bont. He's so good. So yeah, I like him as an option. Very happy to have that 148 from him last week. Ryan Angwin, I would prefer over Seamus Mitchell if he holds his spot because he looked good. 2.7k jumping on him. He looked good as a late in for the Giants, playing on that wing. He looked composed, got a fair bit of the ball, used the ball well. So, yeah, I don't mind looking at him. Got mid-forward status as well. So, yeah, I would prefer him over Seamus Mitchell, I think, because I think that Angwin could actually stay in the team because Matt Kennedy going down with an injury, that wing spot sort of is potentially open there for him. So, yeah, just one guy, if he holds his spot, could be an option there. Josh Rochelle, 2.2k coaches are bringing him in. So, again, I'm not sure with Rochelle because he's looked so good for us, us, I say the Crows, for the first 6 weeks. He's got a great role playing CBAs, going forward, kicking goals, impacting the scoreboard. He can tackle, he can get marks. He's got a ceiling that we haven't probably quite seen yet, but we also haven't seen his floor. So he's been a pretty consistent sort of 80 to 105 guy over the first sort of 6 weeks with that one score, I think 75 against Port, but that was a pretty low scoring fantasy game there. He's still value based on what he's been doing. So if you think that he can continue to go at this 90 plus rate, he's a good pick at 692 and he's still value. But I think that there could be a floor game coming soon. It could be this week against Collingwood. It could even be next week against Geelong at GMHBA. So they've got a pretty nice run after that. So he could be a good option and he could be close to those top 6 forwards. So I don't mind him if he's the best you can get to. And if you've already got like a Butters and guys like that. So I don't mind him. Tim English, 1.6k coach to bring him in as well. So yeah, if you can jump on Tim English, he's been fantastic. So he's been a great option. So there you go. And then a few other guys people are bringing in there. So like Tom Stewart, Stephen Canelio, Jordan Dawson, Nick Dacos, Roy Laird, Caleb Sarong. So yeah, all good options there that people are looking at bringing in. The most traded out players. This would be a bit interesting. So Darcy Wilmot, 10,500 coaches have said see you later to Wilmot. I think probably, yeah, that it is time to go. His break-even's now up at 52. And potentially, does he get dropped this week? That's the worry. I don't think he will. He won poorish game. They still won Brisbane, and who's really going to come in for him? I don't know off the top of my head. There might be someone. Let me know in the comments below if there is someone that you think will come straight in for Darcy Wilmot, because there potentially could be. But I think he'll hold his spot. He's played every game this year. Played in the finals last year. I think the Lions do like him. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Chris Fagan was praising Darcy Wilmot. So I think he'll hold his spot, but yeah, just one to watch. Cam McKenzie, not over 9,000 coach, getting rid of him. Again, it's a good call. Will Day coming back in. He didn't play that much midfield last week, so I don't see that much midfield time being there for him moving forward. So yeah, it is time for him to go. Touk Miller, 7,000 coaches, or just under 7,000 coaches, trading him out, which is really unfortunate. Obviously, he's, as I mentioned before, one of the most durable players. I think he's only missed 1 or 2 games in the last 3 years, and that was actually due to suspension. So he hasn't missed through injury for a long time, which, yeah, what can you do? That's fantasy. So you got to move him on, and yeah, he's still got a decent amount of money on his head, 877, I think it is, which is a little bit disappointing because he was 922, but obviously that poor score meant he dropped in price. So yeah, he's got to be moved. Ruben Jinby, 4.4k coach, to moving him on, I think, as well. He's not a bad option to move off of. I think his role's still good, and he's still definitely best 22 for the Eagles. He will be managed, I think, so that is one flag. So, yeah, I would still be comfortable moving him on if you can get him to a better player. Kay Chandler, people moving him on. I'd still prefer to move other rookies on before him just because the next 3 for Chandler are so, the matchups are so juicy that he could put up some good scores, and I think he goes minimum 50 in those 3. So I would prefer to keep him over your Mackenzies and even your Jinbys to an extent. I'd rather keep Chan just because those easy matchups. But maybe Jinbys are more of a different one. Maybe it's 50-50 there. But yeah, definitely trading Mackenzie and Wilmot, and even a Holland's probably over Chandler just with those matchups. Mitch Duncan, 2.3 co-hosts are trading him. Even though he's put up those 2 dud scores, I just don't know if you trade him out. He's got high break even, so he's going to be really cheap if coaches want to look at bringing him in as an option like down the track. But he's got Essendon, Adelaide, and Richmond his next 3. He could go big in those 3. So I personally wouldn't be getting rid of him. I know he's been poor, but you want to be getting your rookies off your field first, and then you can worry about him. But if you're in a good position and he's your worst problem, then you can trade, I think, because he's been pretty poor. Grundy, yep, got to move off him. He obviously just doesn't have the role when Gordon's in there, so definitely got to move off him. You get to Tim English, that's the trade I'd be making. Even Max Gawn's not a bad option to go Grundy to him, or even Sean Darcy. They're probably the 3. I'd look at probably English, Darcy, and Gawn in that order. Jason France, people are still moving off him. Yep, definitely get rid of him. St Kilda, good matchup this week. If you've got other issues, you could keep him for one more week, but I'd personally just get off him now. Andrew McGrath, people are still trading him out. I would love to trade him out, but yeah, I'm still trying to get these rookies off first, and I'll deal with him after. Hopefully he can put up some big scores and make some cash, and then make it a bit easier to move him to another defender, but we'll have to see. Geelong, not an easy matchup. Then you've got your Will Phillips, Noah Long, Finn Callahan, a few people moving off these rookies. Mateus Philippou, LDU, people are moving off if they had enough. Liam Stocker, Andrew Brayshaw, interesting. I'd probably still hold Andrew Brayshaw, but coaches are frustrated. And then you've got Matt Roberts, Alan Davey, and even Harry Sheasel's there as well. So I'm still giving Sheasel a week, but coaches are looking at trading him out. And maybe getting ahead of the pack potentially. But he could put up a good score this week, and then you may get behind the pack again. So my top 5 options this week if I didn't own any of these players. So I think number 1's got to be Alex Chincotta. I think that he is the best rookie option there is. He's got a good scoring rate, so I think he's a rookie that you can play on field. So if you were to go Mackenzie down to Chincotta, use that cash on top of Jinby, and potentially get a Will Day, that's obviously great trades. Chincotta you can play, as I said, definitely on field, and I think he'll hold his spot. Obviously, Sard could be back this week. Doherty, apparently Doherty started getting in ball drills and stuff this week, so could even be back Doherty next week or the week after. So that is just a flag that he may not hold his spot. But I think Roy said on the podcast, if Newman moves to more of a lockdown role, and then you've got Chincotta plays that rebounding role, maybe Cowan gets dropped instead. So something to watch, but I still like him as an option. He'll still make some good cash for 2 weeks if he holds his spot for that long. Number 2 would be Will Day. I think that for those coaches that moved off of him, or that didn't have him for his suspension, averaging 104 before that 2-game suspension, looked really, really good. Looked better every game he played as well. 390s and a 128. So yeah, I just like him as an option. He's got a couple of decent enough fixtures in his next 5. So yeah, I like him as an option. Could go, I think he'll go very well. Number 3, this is where it's a little bit tougher. So because this is where it will depend on people's teams. Because I think Will Day and Chincotta are the 2 best options this week. I think at number 3, I think Connor Rosie would probably be my number 3. I've got Rosie, so I think Rosie would be number 3. If you don't have him, St Kilda this week, you get a big score, I think. I think he's going to go really well against the Saints. Potentially a good vice-captain option on Friday night. So I do like him there. Potential tag if they bring a Windhager back in or something like that. So that's just something to watch. I can't remember if Windhager was sub or not on the weekend, but I knew that he was out at some point. So just one to watch if he does get attention. But I do like him as an option if you didn't already have him. Number 4, you could even put as at Butters at number 4 because I still like the value. I'm looking at Butters this week as an option. So, yeah, I could put... Actually, I would put Butters at number 4, actually. Actually, I'll put him at number... I'll put Rosie ahead. I'll put Rosie 3, Butters 4. If you don't have him, I just like the value. St Kilda this week, as I mentioned as well. And Port still have a really good run over the next month. They've still got St Kilda this week, great matchup. Essendon, North Melbourne, Melbourne, Richmond, and Hawthorn. So the next 6 weeks look fantastic. So yeah, Rosie and Butters, I'd like them at number 3 and 4. Number 5, I think I'd probably I'm going to put two players in at number 5 because I think that they're both really good options and coaches should be looking at them. I'm going to put Bont, the first name I say, at 5. I think that the value's there. I think he's shown that he's got a high floor. He's got the role, which is what we wanted. He's had the role all year. It was just the scoring. It was just these 90s and these 100s. But if he has those quarters and has half decent quarters in these games here, these are 100s and these are probably 110s here. So he's been really good. I think he's underpriced. I think he can average 110 for the rest of the year. I think he's shown the role. He's one of, if not the best player in the AFL at the moment. So I like him. The other player I'd put also at number 5, equal number 5 here, is Rory Laird. So obviously had a tough start to the year. As we know, I've owned him the whole year with that 57 with the Heat. And as we said, he was sick apparently. Responded with a 142 against Richmond. He played amazing that game. I remember I watched that live. Was at the game, sorry. 83 against Port. Got the Willem Drew tag in the second half. Or the first half. One of the halves. I think it was the first half actually from memory. So he struggled there with an 83. 84 against Freo. Got tagged by Aish for the first 2.5 quarters. Then they released that tag and he got a little bit busier in the later half. But you can see here in these 3 games here, he actually gave away 3 free kicks in all those games, which is a bit unlike Roy Lee. He doesn't normally give away that many free kicks. He's normally only gives away none, 1, or maybe 2 if he's really bad, but did give away a lot of free kicks there. So the 84 there could have been bigger. 118 with 3 frees against, and did get taken by Kerner in the second half, which people probably forget about, and he's still got a 118, and then got a 120 against Hawthorn. 12 tackles is the thing that really encourages me a lot with him moving forward. Bit of a mixed bag in terms of his run over the next couple. So Collingwood, Geelong a bit tougher, so may not be like you could wait a couple weeks for him. But then he's got a pretty good run to his bye. Like Brisbane and Bulldogs have been shown they'll be giving up a few more points this year than what they have in the past. St Kilda, Gold Coast, West Coast, we know are good matchups as well. And then Collingwood obviously a little bit difficult. But then you've got North, Essendon, Giants, Melbourne after the bye. So he's got a pretty nice run from round 11 to round 19. So I like him as an option. As I said, I think he averages 115 for the rest of the year. Could push 120. I know a few people are a bit not as confident he goes 120, but obviously me being a lad man, I'll be a bit more confident than most people. But I think he can still go 115 from here. He's got such a high floor as well. Like, take away that 57, that's an anomaly. Those 80s, if 85 is his floor, then that's great. And we've seen that last year his floor was 90. So he's a good option. So that's it. That's the trade talk there. In terms of my moves, I'm looking at doing at the moment. So I've got a couple of trades in my head that I'm looking at doing. So I think one trade locked in is Touk to Will Day. That's pretty much my one trade I'm doing because I like Will Day's value. I want to bring Will Day in. That gives me cash to then upgrade. At the moment, it's Jinby to Butters. I would prefer to go Mackenzie to Butters, but I can't afford it. Jinby is the one that has to go because he's the one that I can afford Butters by. I've thought about potentially just doing Wilmot down to Chincotta, banking some cash for next week. But then in that scenario, I'm not actually upgrading my team. I'm actually, technically, if Touk wasn't injured, I'm actually downgrading because Touk down to Will Day is still a downgrade. And then you're just getting a rookie. So Chincotta would just be on field for a rookie. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe let me know in the comments below what you guys would do if you get Chincotta bank cash, or if you just go get Butters and maybe get Chincotta next week. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are looking at doing with your trades this week, or if you've got any trade questions, let me know in the comments below, or any other questions you guys have as well. Put them in the comment section. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are on 925, 75 subscribers to go till we hit 1,000. So bottom right hand corner, make sure you go and subscribe. Appreciate all the support you guys have shown. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live or upload any other content in the future. And then also my links to all my socials are in the description below. So if you've got any other questions and stuff, hit me up there as well. And we'll be back again. I'll have to see if the Hatchet Boys doing the Friday night watch along, but I will be doing the Friday night watch along with them or here. So stay tuned on the socials. I'm sure that I'll let you know there. But Saturday, I'll be back for the watch along. I don't even know who's playing on Saturday night actually. I'll have to have a look at that quickly. Let's see if is there a way that I can see who is playing Saturday night. I'm just intrigued to see. I don't think we're going to be able to see, actually. Match Centre. There we go. Apologies. I'm just intrigued to see who's playing, because this will be potentially the watch-along that we do. So, who's playing Saturday night? If it comes up. Here we go. Round 7. I don't know why it's come up round 8 there. Round 7, Saturday night is Melbourne... Melbourne and North Melbourne, then you've got West Coast and Carlton. So probably, Melbourne, North Melbourne would be the game I'll probably chuck on there. So we might do a watch along for that one. So if you want to tune in for that, I'll be doing a watch on there. Potentially I'll be doing one for the St Kilda Port game if the Hatchet boys aren't doing one. So anyway, I'll catch you guys for one of the watch alongs there. And also AFL Fantasy Fanatics Twitter space will be happening Friday, about an hour and a half before lockout. We'll go for about an hour to about 20 minutes to go before the bounce, and then you guys can do what you need to with trade. So make sure you join me and Tim guests there for that. We'll get a few coats on as well and chat through all of the issues from teams ahead of round 7. So until then, I'll catch you guys then. I'm out. Cheers.